Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Success Principles by Successful Principles. I am Kamalneet Singh, and I'm a teenage mindset coach and a life skills coach. And I'm on a mission to make a difference in the lives of parents. And on this journey, there are some very special people who have given their consent and they have onboarded this journey so that we together can make a message which can reach out to the parents, and that message will make a difference in their life. They say that in our country we have everything, right from having a degree on manufacturing a pin to having a degree to manufacture a plane. We got everything, but there is nothing very specific on a subject which is so close to our heart, yet complex, yet complicated, called parenting. And on this journey, on this round of conversations with different educators across the globe, who are coming forward to make a difference, because their message is going to really make a difference. And we have such one educator today with us. And I'm really privileged to have a great educator with us today. I've had the privilege to have a conversation with Saumya ji from Arwachin Bharti school. And and I realized that one can have conversations which are way more deeper. One can have conversations which are far more vulnerable. In fact, she's somebody who believes in keeping her journey like an open book. And I remember having a conversation with her, and she spoke about so many things. And I realized that if these messages can reach out to our kids, if these messages can reach out to our parents, it will really make a huge difference to their life. And we have Saumya madam from our Bharti Bhawan school with us today. And everybody is watching this. Everybody is watching this. I can give you, so there are no guarantees in life, but I can give you one guarantee. And I can actually give you one guarantee, which is that if you take this message in the right spirit, if you take the messages which will come your way in a very short while, it will really make a huge difference to your journey as a parent. Maybe you are a teacher, and anybody, it will really make a huge difference to your journey, because my experience in my conversation with her tells me that her inputs are really extraordinary. They are practical, and if implemented, they really make a difference. And she's somebody who's very vocal about her own ideas, and she has a brilliant journey that I'm not going to share. She herself is going to share with us about her journey, which I was really moved by, and you will see some commonalities in the conversation. So before I take too much of your time, I know that you all are watching and you're waiting to hear inputs from Saumya madam. So let me take the journey forward. Madam, first of all, thank you very much for taking out your valuable time. Also, thank you for giving us the consent to be a part of this journey. And I know that this journey with your input is going to make even a bigger difference. So I'm really looking forward to it. How are you doing?
I'm good. And thank you so much, Kamalneet. It's been I've been thinking about this interview for quite a long time, because this is something that as a teacher you want to take it forward. You want the message to spread, and you're doing a fabulous job to reach out to parents, reach out to kids, and reach out to teachers as well. The educators also need to expand their visions and expand their lives towards their children and towards their parents. So I'm extremely privileged to be a part of such a huge concept that you're taking forward in the world, and thank you for doing something like that. At least
My
someone is
pleasure.
thinking about the kids.
True. In fact, people like you and educators like you, when you come forward, it goes to a different level altogether, because then people see different perspectives from different walks of life, and they see that yes, there is something that they can. When there is lack of hope, and when people like you come forward, it builds hope, and that's very powerful. So equally a pleasure. Let's take this journey forward, because I'm equally excited about the journey. And so tell us the audience also a bit about your journey as an educator. How did you land up, and how are you liking it? What is your core idea in terms of education?
Sure. First of all, I'd start with introducing myself. My name is Saumya Anurup Sharma. I am the headmistress in Arwachin Bharti Senior Secondary School, New Delhi. Well, my journey as an educator was not something I preferred, very honestly. I wanted to be a chef, and somewhere it was not preferred being the alone girl in my family. I live in a joint family. I have three elder brothers. and my whole family is into education. So I have a background of education, and everyone had already set up the path of my life that I had to be a teacher and I had to, involve myself in a school. So somewhere down the line, that was set a course set in my mind that yeah, my path has already been decided, and I took up my education, my higher education, according to the path. Though I had a passion for cooking, and my father always encouraged me to cook, but he didn't encourage me as a profession. But later, sooner, I joined my father and I became a teacher, and everybody was very happy and very content with my decision. And I am finally now I'm trying to look at the way, the viewpoint that they had, because the joy that I get out of teaching is the joy of the smiles on my kids, the respect that you earn, the way they share their deep thoughts, the way they want to connect with you and tell you every problem. My kids have come up to me with their personal problems, their uh, school problems, their friends problems, everything, and they come up to me even with their career problems. They don't look at me as a teacher. When they're talking to me, they look at me as an elder sister or a friend, so that they're comfortable. So my viewpoint from not being a teacher to being a teacher has changed completely within last 7 years. And slowly and steadily I started realizing why people want to be a teacher now.
Brilliant. In fact, I heard that word. I heard the four-letter word chef. You wanted to become a chef, and then how ironic it can get. I happen to work in a kitchen, and not that I moved on to a senior level chef. I started my journey as a cook, and the funny part being that I dropped out of that journey because I landed up in that journey out of no choice. I landed up in that journey because I had some challenges and I wanted to hide myself from the real world. I wanted to stay away from people. And yet I hear you that you wanted to become a chef by choice. And I think that's a very powerful point that you did put across, that sometimes when you are aware of what is it that you really want, I think that helps. And yet at the same time, the lack of self-awareness in terms of what is it that you really want to do in life can also lead to challenges. So I understand that the chef in you is wide awake. So how are you fulfilling your ideas on cooking and experimenting with food? I hope you're doing that. Are you?
I am. That's also a privilege for me because I've graduated in home science. So I'm a home science teacher. I get a lot of time to cook. And when I was in school, when the pandemic had not taken over the world, I used to cook around in my home science lab and I used to make good dishes. And I did get a lot of time to complete the passion that I have. And I do get time to, guide my students for competitive competitions like for IIHM and other places like that. So, yeah.
Oh, nice. So
I didn't really give up on that dream.
correct. I think so. So the attachment of success in terms of I feel that one really feels successful and one really feels accomplished when they do even small little things around what they really love, things that they really like. And I think when you say that you had home science as a background, and then you don't leave the, what do you call, you don't leave a chance to still make some food. I don't know, probably if we get someday a chance to taste the food that you cook, and I promise you that I will not bring in my cook or a past hat from the kitchen department saying that this is not fine, that's not fine. And generally what happens is that in my experience, you go around, you meet people who are from people who are chefs or who are from kitchen department. Generally the tendency is that instead of looking at how good the food is, they are thinking isme namak to kam nahi hai. So that's how it turns out to be. But yes, I think following your passion, as you said, that following things even side by side does make a difference, and you are at it, and brilliant. So this leads to something that I want to ask, which is about feeling or being successful. They say that so success is a very, very broad term. It can have, I don't know, tons of meanings. I wanted to understand from you that what is your definition of success? How do you define success?
Well, success for me, firstly, I'd like to say that I am a very, how do you define that person who is very, an extrovert and an introvert? So basically, I'm an ambivert who wants everything in life.
Right.
So for me, success is which gives you satisfaction in the end of the day,
Brilliant.
something that brings back happiness. Okay, so I would want my success to be defined as when I come back home, I see smiles. Let it be on my parents' face, let it be when I go to school, on my kids' face, or on my colleagues' face, or on my principal's face. That for me is success. So somewhere, bringing happiness to the people around me is success for me.
Which I think is a very beautiful explanation of the term called success. I think when you said that, I could actually visualize. I'm good with visualization. So the moment you said, when I come back home, I could, when I see a smile on my parents' face, or whether I'm in the school, I see smile on my kids' faces, and when I see a smile on my colleagues' faces, I think it really makes a huge difference. I don't know who said it, but somebody said a very powerful statement, and I just could recall the moment you mentioned about happiness. They say that the goal of all the other goals is eventually to be happy, and very unfortunately, I'm not sure if unfortunately is the right word, but then uh, people today, even our youngsters, they are connecting success with a lot of materialistic ideas, and even beyond them. And yet it boils down to a brilliant point what you said, that it is as simple as bringing smiles on people's face, which means that your success is also related to people outside of you. So it's not
Right.
limited to you. It's the way I see is that what you are saying is that when you make a difference in someone's life, when they are happy, you are happy, and that really is success. Do you see kids are having such an approach towards success today? Do you see that happening?
Well, to be very honest, I hardly see that, because somewhere down the line, the kids are brought into the environment thinking about, having a luxury, having more money is power. But I've realized that the more amount of money you start earning, the more you run after money, the more sadder you become, because you're scared. You have a fear of losing it. So, I can say it in one line that the generations coming up, sadly, it's a generation with happy faces and sad souls.
That's a
So,
powerful statement, and I think a lot is said in that statement. That and yet at the same time, I feel that while the way I would see, and I'll probably take your inputs on the same, that while kids they would want to achieve the real world success, and nothing wrong with it, but yet at the same time, what I understand is, what you said, that happy faces
faces
and sad souls.
with sad souls.
It's natural. That's very powerful. And even if somebody is becoming, and if even if a child wants to really become successful in the real life, striving for that is not at all bad. The way I see. Yet at the same time, I connect to what you said, that if you are striving for something, and yet at the same time the soul is not happy, so the soul is sad. That does not really help. But yet at the same time, the parents today, I see that every parent, I think, you ask any parent from any walk of life, you ask any parent across the globe, generally when I have a conversation with them, I ask them that what is it that you really want, and I get this very very simple uh, yet an answer which is in demand. They say that we want our kids to be really successful, and they should be good human beings, and all of them would want, and I'm sure there's nothing wrong with that. So I would want to take your expertise, your inputs on what do you think, what would you say, what's your take on the fact that if a child wants to be really successful in the real life, the so-called real life, uh, what makes a child successful in the real life? What does it take?
So, taking that question, striving for the real world success is not bad. That's true. But you have to be constantly reminded to stay grounded. If you are not grounded somewhere, you forget that, there are things that money and power cannot buy. The smiles are not bought, they are earned. The respect is not bought, it's earned. So, no matter a child is striving in any path of life for success, a child should always be guided in a constructive manner, that don't forget where you come from, don't forget what you had seen in your life. So I think that somewhere down the line completes the whole situation, that if you want success, never forget who you have been before you achieve that thing. Only then, that success will never take a toll on you.
Which I think is very powerful because uh, it is said that when people become successful, they kind of leave the ground. So it's the gravity doesn't work on them anymore, and that's a very well point made. That even if you achieve what you're really looking at, one should stay grounded, and I believe that everybody, and in fact all educators like you, everybody across the world is actually working hard to see that kids become successful in the holistic sense across all the across schools across the world. I've been speaking to educators from different parts of the world, and yet I see that the strive is the same. Everybody would want a holistic kind of a success for kids in their school. So if I may ask, that what is it that happens in your school that helps kids move towards that holistic success?
Well, in my school, we've been trying. We've been trying really hard to make the child speak up for themselves, because usually the child is not heard, or does not, the elders do not want to hear a child out, because they think they are kids. They do not know much about the world. But somewhere down the line, we don't know what the child really wants, or what the child is really facing, because a child stays only 6 hours of the day with the teacher. He stays 18 hours of the day with the parents and with friends and other people in the society. So you don't really know what goes on with the child's life. You don't know if he has a problem, and you don't know if he's struggling through something. So we've been trying, with our special educators and with our counselors and with our class teachers, we try really hard that the child speaks up. So regarding to that, being an HM in the school, my room is completely open to the kids. You just walk in, you can speak about anything and everything that you want. You can sit down, have a glass of water, and then when you're done, when you have relieved yourself out, you can go back to your class. If there is something that I have to give them as an input, I do, and then they are free to go.
Which I believe is very powerful. I just heard you. I just picked up that point when you said uh, kids, they spend about 6 hours in the school. Let's say between 8 to 2 or 8:30 to 2:30, uh, and eventually they're spending almost 18 hours or so outside the school boundaries. And I don't know for what reasons in the world. I just had this mathematical thing happening in my head that we are looking at 1:3, wherein we're looking at 6 hours inside the school and we're looking at 18 hours outside the school, which is now the moment the child is outside the school, I see that it's the parent who is in charge. Not that otherwise he's not, but then the moment the child moves out, the parent is a full. I think it's a, what do you call? I think then the ball is in their court. I say for good 18 hours, and which is a 1:3x component. I say. And I think it hit me hard because teen guna, 3 times, and that's a very long time. And yet I see at times that parents have this expectation, and I know the parents watching me would not probably like me for this, but I think all the parents who are watching this, I think Soumya mentioned a great point. I think just look at the dynamics. So we don't say this to probably you know. To step away from any kind of a responsibility, but yet at the same time the numbers, they really speak. And if a parent gets it that yes, eventually I am the one who is taking charge for those 18 hours, I think it's going to really make a huge difference, and that will help them becoming in becoming successful, whatever their definition of success is. What do you think? I have the next one up for you, which is uh, you have been doing very well. You have been extremely successful. You are making a difference. You have your own ideas around, education. I remember my conversation with you the last time, and some very powerful ideas. So I wanted to steal a mantra, and this is not only for me, but also for the audience who's watching. So, uh, what is that one mantra, if you have to share, that really helped you in becoming successful? And what is that? And I'm sure everybody's all ears in to get that.
Okay, so I am someone who is only open to the people she's close with. Okay, and I am extremely open. when I'm with people I'm comfortable with. But becoming a teacher and facing 50 students every day, and being in HM, you actually face a whole floor every day of students. So I started becoming more vocal. I started putting my ideas on the table right in front of the students to let them sink in things. And then, their creativity, their curiosity came out. So I let people around me think more, speak more. And, when they speak more, you understand that even being an elder or even being younger to someone, it's not that you know everything. You're always constantly learning around you. So I'm learning, and I'm happy to learn from every person around me. Let it be a kid, let it be a colleague, let it be someone elder to me, a grandfather, grandmother, doesn't matter. So everyone has their own share of knowledge that they can share with you. Never feel that you know it all, because if you are in a room that you feel you know it all and you're the best, then you're in the wrong room.
And that's a
It is as
powerful
simple.
message. So true. I heard you saying, be somebody who is open to learning, which you are, and always learn from anybody and everybody you can. Which I see that this is coming from an educator, as wonderful as you, and you also said that I allow people in my surroundings. I think you make a difference in the environment, and I can connect it back to what you said a couple of minutes earlier, that you have this whole open door policy. People can come to you, they can relate to you, and it was beautiful when you said that kids can probably look at you not as a senior educator or somebody who is of course you hold a position, but they connect with you not with your position, but as a human being who you are. I think that for me is leadership. I think that's an immense exhibition of leadership, because people are not relating to you as a position, but as the human being who you are. And it is not because they are thinking so much about it. They are not thinking that should we relate to her in a specific way, but I think it is you who is making that effort to see to the fact that nothing comes in between when somebody has to have a conversation with me, which for me is a huge example of leadership. And I think parents out there, I would probably take a chance to 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 reach out to parents who are pretty strict. I think this is a message for you. A lot of times when, and this is what Swamiji is trying to also convey, that if if I get it right, uh, if as a parent you are that strict mother or strict father. So I did not say the strict one. I'm referring to the strict one, meaning that you're very very that your child looks at you as someone who is very strict for me. I am very sure that the child might say this or might not say this, but in his head, he already has a barrier that I cannot talk to my parents a certain way. I cannot talk to my father or my mother in a certain way, because they would not, let me do what I really would want to. So let's say it's like you have, as a parent, apne apne aspas, you have caged yourself, and the child is not really able to come into your boundaries. And I think it's, for a child, he might not be able to put that in words, but the child's experience with you not being available, not to say physically, but not being available the way he would want to, uh, can disturb the relationship. And I think it's a sensitive matter. Swamiji, what do you think? In fact, if you have to, now that we're talking about how parents can make a difference, what do you suggest, or probably what would be your top three messages for parents? Uh, Maybe three suggestions that you would want them to consider, which can make a difference in their life, in the life of their own kids, and eventually, when this difference comes in, it makes a bigger impact on the society and the world. So, what would be your top three
Well,
messages?
okay, if we talk about parents here, I think balance is very important when you look at parents. So when you were talking about someone who is strict, yes, that's a very true point, that a strict parent already creates a barrier in front of the child. And God forbid, if you're a single parent, then it's really difficult for the child to open up. But I've seen, with a personal experience, I'd like to say my father really spoils me. I am a spoiled brat for my father. I am someone who is the living reason for him living. But my mother is kind of someone who keeps me to the ground, who scolds me, and still we fight. We fight every day. I cannot gulp down a bite if I don't fight with my mother. So it is that sort of a relation. My mother has been my best friend since I think I was in grade 10. I opened up to her, but she's been someone who literally nags me for every wrong thing that I do. So you need a strict parent and you need a parent who spoils you. You need both. But the strict parent, the person who is in charge of keeping you in check, should also be flexible to listen to you from time to time. Only then you can actually reveal out your ideas. That's what my personal experience has been. See, because every child has a different scenario at their home. Some have a joint family, so the pressure is different. Some has a nuclear family, so the pressure is completely different. Nuclear family, usually the parents are more like friends, and whereas in a joint family the child is pressured with comparison and other things coming up like that, and the child feels pressured in all sorts of surrounding. So it's not easy, and especially in our culture it's not easy. So I think making a balance for your child is very important. No matter you live in a joint family, no matter you live in a nuclear family, your child is your first and foremost priority, no matter who thinks what. So I live in a joint family and the pressure has been immense, but my mother, she knows how to stand tall, and she is like a china wall for me.
Wow, that's a
She is.
that's a metaphor.
I do actually call her the iron lady of my family, who likes to take a stand for her kids. If she thinks this is the right thing for her child to do, she will take a stand no matter who comes in front of her. So she is that sort. So bringing a personal experience in here, I can relate to that. A balance is very important.
So I think that's a good message coming in. Yet at the same time, while you were talking, you took me back into my memory lane. So I grew up in a joint family and a giant family. You know how joint families are, and I had these lovely cousins. I still have them, and almost at the same age, and they would, in fact, not almost at the same age, but almost there, and we would study in the same class, same standard, maybe different sections. And somebody would score about 90, 95, and there I am scoring about 65, 67. There's a gigantic difference of about 30 odd percent. And you come back home, and you're generally asked, so nobody's really trying to pull you down, but you're generally asked that how much did you score, and you give this number of 60, 65 or something around that. And then you ask, so how much did your sister score, and you say, so she scored some 93, 94. And I would sometimes in my mind feel that I should cut down some 20% and then tell only the additional 5, 7. And then I would know that my parents would eventually figure out, so there is no point hiding or probably lying. Just tell what it is. But yes, at the same time, and what you said is very, very crucial, because I immediately related, because when I would narrate the difference in the percentage, it was my parents' reaction, in the sense that, so reaction can be a word can be with a negative connotation. I'll replace it with a response. Their response would be that, fine, you scored this much. Do you think that you could have scored more? Did you lose out on some questions, or did you leave some part of the paper? Do you think you can score better maybe in the coming exam? And that kind of eased me out, instead of pulling their gun out and they're telling me that look at the difference and this and that. And I would really feel that they are actually trying to understand me, yet in the hindsight they're also trying to motivate me indirectly that I can do more. And I think that made a huge difference in my life, and that also led to a situation wherein I would not lie about their marks ever. Whatever they would score, I would come back, announce my marks and their marks, because I knew that I would not be reprimanded for announcing a higher set of marks, which in a way is comparison. And I think balance is what you spoke about. And I'm it is I'm really privileged to have this conversation with you, because it really takes something to say that, on the camera, that that I would end up fighting, with my mother. The way you express it, it really takes something, because the truth being told, today people have probably hundreds of issues going on, but when you ask them, yes, what is your truth? So they would only tell you the good and the rosy part of it, but they would not tell you that it's so natural to probably fight. If you know that, yes, I can resolve it, and it's eventually going in a direction wherein it will benefit me, so I would not really call that a fight. But then the point that I'm trying to make is that if a parent can be vulnerable, I'm sure that the kids will pick up vulnerability from them. And each time I speak to you, I think I'll probably put it the vulnerability quotient. I think it's a new term that I'm phrasing right now. I think we should be talking about vulnerability quotient to our kids. I'm learning this from you. Very, very powerful. So any other message that you would want to give to parents? We got balance in place, and you spoke about the combination of a strict parent and a mellowed down parent, and if it is a case of a single parent, then we're also looking at the same parent having both the traits being balanced depending upon the situation. So very powerful message out there. Anything else that you would want the parents to hear out?
I think the other thing other than balance is patience is the key. Because to be very honest, parents have a set of thoughts that, we've made this mistake and we don't want our child to repeat it. But they need to understand that a child will make his own mistakes. He will not be repeating yours. So all a child wants is your support and your patience. If to be very honest, if a child hears his father or mother say, it's okay, I'm there, a child will risk anything in life, understanding the fact their parents are there.
True.
So that fear of risk, people don't take the leap. Many a times you have a good opportunity in front of you, but you are scared that पापा नहीं मानेंगे, मम्मी नहीं मानेंगी, या मैं ये शायद नहीं कर पाऊंगा क्योंकि घर वाले नहीं मानेंगे. सो ये एक फ्रेज जो होता है, पापा नहीं मानेंगे, सेज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, अ होल न्यू स्टोरी दैट क्या ये बच्चा घर पे बोलता है, क्या ये बच्चा घर पे बताता है, क्या इसकी घर पे बात होती है, क्या ये चुप रहता है. सो एज अ टीचर, all those thoughts come into your mind, and then you have to take a step back. You cannot just immediately take a step into the private space of the child. You have to take time to get through him. So patience and support is the key to the child then, other than balance.
Having a conversation with you looks like that it's a conversation about my life more. Reason being that when I had to jump from working in a kitchen as a cook to taking a stand for the fact that I don't want the kids to go through what I went through. And hence, when I decided that I'm going to jump into education no matter what, so that whatever happened with me or whatever challenges I had as a child, if I can help kids manage them in a better way, their life will really be different. And the good part was, it was not easy for sure. It was quite a situation. But the moment I spoke out to my parents, when I said that, this is where I stand and this is what I really want to do, what do I do? And it's not that I was comfortable in that conversation. That was an uncomfortable conversation. But what made me comfortable was the moment my parents and my father led the conversation, and my mother also supported. They said, अगर यही करना है तो करो फिर और अच्छे से करो. And if you'll be happy with this, then do this, and we are there for you. And if you need any support, you tell us. And my father was very open. He said कि मेरा background तो नहीं है in the space that you would want to get into, but any support that I can, we are with you. So you don't have to feel कि ये कुछ गलत decision है. And I remember a phrase that he said. He said, जो भी होगा ना देख लेंगे. You go for it.
Exactly.
And that turns the tables around, because in my head, something shifted that, my parents are with me, I'll give it a shot. And the moment you said, and I started, I started smiling, that I think it's a conversation with me happening, right? So, and you raised another point that when a child says this in the school, कि पापा नहीं मानेंगे या मम्मी नहीं मानेंगी या पेरेंट्स नहीं मानेंगे या वो पता नहीं क्या बोलेंगे, I think that opens a whole set of Pandora box while a teacher is thinking that what's exactly going on at home. And I think that's a point. This is for all the parents who are listening, watching, and also for all the teachers. I think this is a food for thought. When such a conversation is happening, first I would ask the parent that, look at this conversation. If your child is saying in the school or to anybody that my parents will not entertain me on this one, and then what's really happening in the relationship? I'm really moved by this point because this is way beyond a point. I think this is a discussion in itself altogether, and I'm really thankful to you for bringing this up, and also tell us that, I'll keep coming to parents' desires of helping their kids to be successful in the real life. And I think सिर्फ बोलने से नहीं होगा. It's not that a parent says that I want my kids to be successful in the real life and it just happens. I think there is something that must go into it. So what is your take as to what skills should kids learn early, at an early age, which can make a difference in their life? What would those be? Because I know that parents would be really keen to know that.
I think honesty is the first thing. I'm not saying be honest to the world, but be honest to yourself first. If you don't cheat yourself, then you're on the right path. That's one thing. Second, learn to take a stand for yourself. I'm not saying be adamant and don't be flexible and don't listen to others. Listen, but if you have a point to make, back it up with something this is worthwhile, that the front person is actually bound to listen to you, and they actually have a thought that no, that point might be right. So you have to be concrete in what you think. I know as a child it is difficult to convince parents over a thought process or over something, a choice that they make, but I think other than that, a lot of things that you can develop as a child. Being honest, being skillfully, you should be deceptive in some manner, I think, because sometimes you want to say something to your father which might be rude, but you're not able to say it because you're a child. A father is someone who you look as the man of the family, someone who takes responsibility, who goes out to earn. Usually in our country we think of him as that. So a child, when is in anger, he does not realize what he says to his father, and that might hurt the father's feeling, and the father might feel that, is this my worth? I'm doing all of this for my child and he doesn't even respect me. There are ways to say things. So learning or the way to speak to a person is very important, I think.
I believe you are, the way I understand is that you're referring to probably a point wherein even if you want to make a point, you can make it gracefully. And
Exactly.
I'll track it back to the last point that you said, that sometimes you want to say a no and you're not sure, should I not? If I say no, would the other person be hurt? And the message that I'm picking is that it's also important to have that skill as well, learning to say no and yet gracefully.
Right.
Because if you say yes to everybody, you're saying no to yourself, and I think that can probably kill a child's self-esteem. I've been doing sessions in the schools with kids, and one of the topics that we talk about is actually this one, that being assertive. It is not important to always say a yes. Sometimes it is important to say a no, and I think we're pretty much in congruency in terms of what you just said, and it's an important point that if kids can pick up, it will really make a difference. All the parents out there, if these kids can pick up these simple little things, I promise you that it is going to make a huge difference in their life. Because all of you, you know that, when, and I'm sure all the parents will relate to the fact that when their child is studying and someone comes over and they call them to play. I know this is not happening given the pandemic situation, but otherwise the parents would say, "Ki abhi to padhne baitha tha," they have now come in to call him to play, and the child does not have the skill to say no. What happens is that the child also knows that, I really have to study, but how do I say no to my friends at the moment? Imagine it's a catch 22 situation. It's a pull and push happening. But if a child learns these skills, as Swamiji mentioned, that if they can learn to say no, eventually it's going to pay off in the long run, because there is no point saying a yes when inside you are a no. And that's a very valuable point. I'm sure all the parents watching this, the parents listening to this conversation, and it's going to make a difference. And these simple little things, they say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a simple step. So I urge all the parents, all the educators, everybody who's watching, if you can take one simple little step based on all the wisdom that came to us from Saumyaji, if you can take one step at a time, it's really going to make a difference. That's what I believe. And I really want to thank you for your brilliant inputs, and for your time, and for bringing in such important points with great examples. You're pretty good with giving a point supported with an example, because it stays, and that I think is very, very. I think that's one additional skill that one must learn, so to put it. And I'm sure this is going to make a difference to all the parents. And
well, I like to add to that. While you were speaking, there was something that I remembered my mother always says to me, that trust your intuition. If your intuition says, if your heart says no to something, believe it's not going to be good for you. So she always says that, suno sabki, karo man ki. So this is something a child should learn.
I think we have such wisdom coming in. Yet at the same time, I see that our parents, all the parents probably looking at this, watching this, listening to this, if this can happen at an early age, if kids can learn these things, these are simple little nuances. If they can learn, I'm sure Swamiji, you would agree that it does make a difference, and I feel that too. Ki suno sabki theek hai, but then you must rely on your gut. You must develop your gut and then rely on it either ways. But I think that really comes in handy. That does come in handy. And I don't know where do you bring such brilliant points from, and very, very spontaneously. But then I'm sure it's a lovely conversation. And our parents who are watching this, if they take an iota of it, just an iota of it, and implement it, their kids will have a different direction in life altogether. So I really want to thank you once again for your time, for your inputs, for all the wisdom, and for connecting and being on this project. And this is something which I feel from my heart that it's going to go places, and it will make a difference in generations to come. So really want to thank you for the same.
I was quite thinking about a project like this, and when I spoke to you for the first time, I was like, such things are taking place, and finally they are taking place, to bring a difference in the education system of our country, because you cannot treat everybody the same. You cannot ask a fish to climb the tree. No matter what happens, a fish will only swim. So you have to understand that every child is different, and you have to understand that every child has a different scenario coming up in his bringing up and in his environment. So you have to understand, and as an educator, you're basically pushed into a class of unknown students who you have to get to know, and you have to become close to them, and you have to know their problems and their good things, and you have to become a family with them. It's not an easy task, but once you've done that, then you especially in for kids who are very young, like from nursery to grade 5, they think their teacher as the supreme power. So they might even go back home and say, Mama, aap galat ho, meri teacher sahi hai.
It happens all the time. It happens
So a
all the time.
teacher has to, take the whole scenario, a whole lot of 50 students or 100 students if she's teaching two classes together, and she has to, understand every child in a different perspective. So as teachers, we cannot be biased. We cannot look at only one favoritism or a one child. Yes, you might get close to some, but every child in an educator's eyes is equal. It's very somewhere down the line, I've faced some teachers, and I'm very unhappy, or you can say I'm very disappointed to hear such statements where, a teacher out of habit does say that तुम्हें क्या आता है, तुम अभी बच्चे हो. So a child might have that curiosity, that creativity in his life or in his mind, that completely diminishes after that statement. So we have to be very careful while nurturing a child. And I'm very happy that you've created a platform where educators and parents and child gets to speak. And moreover, I've learned this in my journey that, you should try inculcate a child with the feeling of self, that he is doing everything for himself, not for the world, not for his parents, not for anybody else. So you can take that Three Idiots, that 20 पे college, 22 पे नौकरी, and that so on and so forth, that dialogue, the 26 पे छोकरी, and then मौत का इंतजार. That, that scenario is, yes, it is ideal that we think about, but the generation that is coming up, they do not believe in getting married early. They do not believe in stereotypical professions anymore. They want to vast out.
True.
So as parents, as educators, they want us to support them.
True. I think this is an additional, and I think this is a cherry on the cake. And I'm so glad you brought this up, because I think somewhere in the conversation we did not touch on that, but then it's, all is well that ends well. And I'm very happy that the cherry on the cake is all the parents. There is a joke that goes around, that especially in our country, that in terms of expectations of a parent, they say that, either you are a doctor, or you are an engineer, or maybe you are a family disappointment. And so I think that has to change. It's high time that we are open to the whole ideas of different professions. And they say that the regular, I don't know if I should be saying this, but let me say it. Let me not shy away from saying this. What I've heard is that a lot of people who are, jumping out of engineering colleges, and I'm not saying to demean this, I'm only trying to bring out a data, a fact, that a lot of engineering and probably other professions, people who took up these degrees and these professions out of some compulsion coming in from the family. And eventually what had happened was they did not get a job. Even if they got it, they did not like it. They stepped out, and then they're in a bad situation mentally. Not saying that they are having a mental disorder, but yet at the same time, the level of satisfaction is not there. And I think, Swamiji, your message, that I think it's time that parents open their arms and accept their child with their opinions, with their choices about careers. All the parents, I think I'm taking this privilege to put a humble request on both our behalfs. All the parents out there, your child is smart and capable enough. If you give him the privilege, if you give him the support, and if you trust him, he will make his way through in whatever career that he is choosing. Of course, you need to do your homework on that, but yet at the same time, if you can probably open another box, which is the unconventional box, and be open to it, it will make a difference in your child's life. And this one, I'm really happy you brought this up, because this is the need of the hour. So thank you. Thanks to you for this lovely conversation. And so the formal conversation is over. And I really want to, this is between us. I really want to, thank you for, I did not even realize, the time just flew by, and what a great conversation with personal examples happening, and really, really enjoyed. How did you like it? How did you like it?
I actually kind of enjoy talking about my life to people because I may not be very old. I am still under my parents' care, and I do everything that they say. But honestly, I have been through so much in my life as of yet. In a 28-year-old girl can say that she's seen a lot. Not maybe not everything, but she's seen a lot, and she's seen her parents struggle, and she's seen her brother getting married, and her family establishing themselves. She's seen her father working day and night. I can completely say my father has given his business 40 years of his life. And then I realized that it's not a joke to become successful. People usually just look at your success and not the hard work behind it. So, and everything, my grandfather, and I'm very vocal about my family, because I believe that I'm saying this jokingly, okay, don't take it personally, but I still believe that if Ekta Kapoor comes to my family, she can make a whole episode out of it, and with a good TRP. Because we do have those scenarios that we sit together, we fight together, we even there are times we don't talk to each other. Those specifically daily soap dramas are completely there in my life. So I don't feel the cinematic life and my life is very different. I do believe that every member of my family, if they go out to the Bollywood, they might get a role of something.
this,
So,
this
so that's why I'm very vocal about my family and me, and I feel very privileged, that um, I belong to an education background, and my whole, when I say whole, I mean even my cousin, uncle, and aunts, and everybody is into the education system somewhere down the line. So it's, and when you see your friends doing something unconventional, it kind of bangs a jealousy in you that you had that creativity. Why couldn't you do it? And and you realize that they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the support, and yet they're able to do it, and they're able to flourish. Somewhere you're happy for them, but a pang of jealousy comes in. And I usually go up to my mother and I tell her about everything. So when I say that my mother is my best friend, yes, I say it in a way that yes, she is my best friend. I watch movies with her and I go out shopping with her, and we have that uh, pact, that first day first show together.
correct.
We had that sort of a pact.
That's amazing.
So I sit down with her and I tell her about everything, my friends and my environment, and then she patiently listens to me, and she's always like, okay, what do you have in mind now? I'm like, I want to do this. And she's seen me talking about changing careers every 6 months, even though I have a career. But I tell her, I want to be an artist. And then after 6 months, I'll say, no, I want to be a chef. She's like, you can be everything because you're a woman. And that somewhere struck down, that people who think women are weak or are the weaker sex of the community, she brings me up in a way that you can be everything in life. And then we phrased it out, we made a joke out of it, and we said, yes, I'm Rajnikant, I can do everything. So
Hands down, I agree. I think women. I think what a woman can do. I strongly believe that it's the it's probably created or it's projected in such a way that males are the more powerful. The gender. I think it's not true. And my wife ended up asking me once that, do you think you can deliver a child? and that was a, and I suddenly felt, is my wife a coach? I thought only I am only a coach in the family. And then she said, do you think you can deliver a child? And I had this opportunity, I had this privilege to give an instant answer, but I chose not to give any answer. And I said, you have asked me something I don't have an answer to, but I'll come back to you with an answer. And then I kept thinking, "Ye kya pooch liya isne?" And I kept thinking, and I actually went back to her and I told her that, honestly, I've been thinking about it. I don't think so. I can do that. And she said, "मैं camera on करूँ? Camera पे बोलोगे?" I said, "हाँ, I'm okay with it. I think I'll say it." And in fact, in a few workshops wherein there was some conversation happening about male female, I actually ended up sharing the example of what happened between the conversation between me and my wife. And hands down, it's a female who probably brings life to the life, who can be more powerful than them. So hats off to you, and the gender, and such brilliant conversation. I'm loving it. I think this can go on forever. We must meet. I feel whenever things open up, you think it's conducive and it's okay. We must.
The situations that create in life make you meet amazing people. It's just that you need to grab that opportunity to talk to people and to be vocal about your ideas. But I think somewhere down the line, people are more comfortable sitting behind a screen and just typing down things rather than going in front of a person and confessing or talking it out. So we belong to a generation who is more technology bound than rather having a face to face conversation. I still remember my father saying that हमारे टाइम पे फोन नहीं होते थे, हमें अपने दोस्तों के घर जाना पड़ता था उन्हें ये बताने के लिए कि हमें उनकी याद आ रही है. So that somewhere kind of pushed me to a thought that that's why their friendship was so true. आपको अगर किसी के घर जाना पड़ जाए just because you're missing them is way more deeper than you can ever think. Than just typing, yeah, I missed you.
Yes.
And that might not even be true.
Very true. And in fact, the birthday wishes these days I see, so it's a friends group which has been formed wherein people are sending birthday wishes to a dear friend on a WhatsApp. And I think the dynamics have definitely changed. So I fully agree with what you just said. कि आप जब आप जाके किसी से मिलते हो and then you hug them and you actually tell them been such a while and I'm really missing you. I think it's a whole different feeling altogether. It is. And
so that's the kind of relationship our kids should develop now, rather than just sitting behind a computer and just typing, let it be positive, negative, let it be negative comments. They don't realize that one negative comment can destroy your life. One positive comment can make someone even more elated than you can even imagine. So our kids don't realize the power of social media yet. They need to.
They need to. They really need to. And they must. I must share this with you that so I have been on this spree of conversations, a series of them, and ये वाला जो है ये बहुत ही genuine and बहुत ही authentic. आपने बहुत दिल से sharing की है, and you kept your life open and I remember that happened in our previous conversation as well, and I really enjoyed it. And so this of course is not going anywhere. So I'm sharing with you. There is so much कुछ conversations ऐसी भी, in fact a lot of them, when it was very mechanical, so कई बारी you miss on that genuine connect कि हाँ बात दिल से बोली है या बोलने के लिए बोल दी है, so and I'm really happy that you poured your heart out and you shared it, because I believe in a concept. I have no dynamics why does it work, but I believe that if you share something with a good heart and a good energy and a good thought behind it, it actually reaches, it crosses all the screens, it goes places, and I'm sure this interview is going to definitely do that part, do the whole thing. And really want to thank you once again, and we must meet whenever things open up. I'll probably visit the school and
anytime.
Do something.
Well, my school is always open for you, and I'll be very glad if you come, because when you meet someone who has like-mindedness, then you want to share that with the people around, the teachers, your principal, because well, my principal always says that Saumya, you have something with the kids that I don't have. I tell her that it's your seat, it's your position that does not allow you, because somewhere down the line you have to be even more strict than I am. I get to have that conversation or that bond because you are there. So I tell her that. So I try to that parent concept, that balance, I try to form it with my principal, that she's the strict one and I'm the one who spoils the child. So we try to do the same kind of thing in our school, and that's why I feel my principal has been a very how do you say that, very supportive in everything that I do. I remember that before I joined the school, for some reason they had closed down their holidays, the excursions, basically the students excursions, the senior excursions, and I came and I requested her that I'll take the whole responsibility, just let me do it. And then I gathered every year I form a new team of teachers that take the excursion. No teacher will be repeated. Every teacher should get a chance, until she's really ill and she cannot go. But then I've taken 7 successful trips, and at a shot I took about 1100 kids to a
Wow.
place. I had 33 buses, and trust me, I had 4 cars running in between, like every 8 or 9 bus.
My God.
Management
1100
cars.
kids at one shot, like one group.
One group, one
My
day,
God.
one group. It was a day trip, and we went to Lohagarh or Pratapgarh, something like that. And I had kids from grade 6 till grade 10 at a shot taken, and 33 buses. And every bus had about 3 teachers in them, and after every 8 buses, one management car was there. That was my strategy of going through. And I was the last. I was after the 33rd bus. And I remember a child got himself cut with a windowsill, and I know I was driving the car. I rushed from one bus. I took the first aid kit, and I rushed so much that I reached the child. I gave the first aid kit to the teacher, and I made sure he's treated. It was a self satisfaction that I did something that huge.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm just thinking in my head as you talk, I'm thinking those, 8 buses moving, and then there is a car, and then another 8, 9, fleet of buses moving. That's actually gigantic, not in only terms of what you did, but also in terms of what I'm just trying to contemplate. What is it that might have gone into your head in terms of that kind of a huge responsibility, because 1100 kids out, out of the conventional 4 walls of a school or home. And we got parents here who take their kids, 2 3 kids out of the house, and they're going mad, and they're going berserk. इनको संभालेंगे कैसे? And you're talking about 1100 odd kids. I think
So I think that credit, Kamalneet, goes to my school staff, my school faculty. And not only the faculty, even the people who are working as PNs or clerks. We don't really realize, but the maids, the PNs, the help is the backbone of the school.
it is.
So if they are not there, there are a lot of things that a teacher would not want to do herself, things she would not want to do herself. So I have this habit, and my principal and my mom, my brother, they kind of inculcated that. My father, that no matter who you pass, बेटा नमस्ते करते हुए जरूर जाना. आप मुंह से ना बोलो, पर एक सिर झुका के जरूर जाना, with a smile, no matter how bad of a mood do you have, or you've had a fight or a argument with someone, but no matter who you pass, you should always give out a positive vibe. I am someone who's very sarcastic in a manner that when I am angry, I do not like to talk to people, because I might say something that might hurt someone. But somewhere down the line, this thing has inculcated in me that even if I'm going out in my sleep, if I look at someone, I'll just bow down my head and I'll just walk. So the front person does feel respected somewhere down the line, that even if I am just a cleaner, a teacher, a headmistress bowed down to me, and she gave me that sort of respect. So I think that is something that I think we should have put up this point also, that the parents, the mothers, the fathers are the first teachers, and the basic education goes through them. So no matter what a teacher teaches in a classroom, but what you're taught at home has much greater impact on a child.
So true. So true. Nevertheless, we missed on this time maybe, so we can definitely look at covering in the next one. In fact, I would I'll be very happy to have a what do you call, a sequel to it. वो एकता कपूर से मुझे
I
ध्यान
have
है.
no problem. I'd do anything for my kids. So if a sequel and part 2, part 3, I don't mind. I just want to reach out kids, and I want them to know that there are people who want to listen to you. All you have to do is speak up for yourself. All you have to do is love yourself before
Brilliant.
anything else.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving so much of your time, and I thoroughly enjoyed. And definitely sooner than later, we must meet, and I'll come and see you in the school.
Sure.
Done. All right. Thank you. You have a good
Thank
day,
you.
and take care of yourself.